A big part of coaching success over time is being able to keep the discipline in the coaching occasions you have with the teams you coach or the individuals you coach. So what do I mean by occasions? I mean that you actually have a period of time, a block of time in your calendar that is dedicated to fulfilling a specific purpose, a specific meeting, a specific coaching session, a specific workshop with the individual or the teams you coach. So for each of you, this will be a bit different. But we could look at this first one-on-one. If you're coaching somebody one-on-one, you're coaching one of your team members, you may be the manager or supervisor or leader or founder, but you're creating an opportunity for you both to be in communication. And you're really relating to this inside a coaching relationship, which you're mentoring them or you're helping them in their performance, you're helping them develop themselves. You need a regular time in your calendar. So what is regular? Well, that's up to you to decide. But I would recommend, if you're coaching an individual, you must be in communication with them at least once every 2 weeks. Okay? So as a general guideline, you cannot go longer than 2 weeks when you're really committed to coaching somebody in their performance, in their development as a leader, in their effectiveness with others. Because if you just have a once a month coaching session as an example, I don't know how effective you'll be influencing their behavior over 12 months. 4 weeks is a long time for people to go and not be able to have their questions answered, to implement new strategies or tactics that you've offered them, that you've asked them to try in their people development conversations and their coaching conversations with them leading their team. So a minimum of 2 weeks, right? Every 2 weeks you have a touch point, and you should meet for a minimum of 60 minutes every 2 weeks with anybody you're committed to impacting change through, right? And depending on the complexity or size of the organization or the number of people they're leading, you likely will schedule longer than 60 minutes. It could be 90 minutes, it could be 2 hours, right? But the point here is that in your calendar, every 2 weeks, you're going to have a scheduled time block where it says coaching session with Joe, okay? And the second part of keeping this cadence, that's a cadence, right? Every 2 weeks, we've got a cadence. It's like a metronome. For the people who play the piano, it goes click, click, click. It keeps a cadence. It keeps a rhythm. I think that's a proper term. You want a rhythm for your coaching relationships. You've got to keep that, and you want to keep it uninterrupted. So the second part of it is, once it's scheduled, you now absolutely must honor those commitments. You as the coach have to bring tremendous integrity to ensuring that you are there on time and that you do not reschedule those times. When I'm coaching teams or I'm coaching individuals, it is a last resort, and it's a breakdown for me if I have to reschedule any coaching session with anybody. Why is it a breakdown if I need to reschedule? Because if I need to do that, there's just a little bit of the urgency and the effectiveness and the importance of that call or that coaching session now diminished. You see, I don't want the people I'm coaching to ever change that call. It has to be an emergency for them to change it, and I treat it the same way. Why? Because it's integral. It's imperative that we keep that cadence up and that we're on screen or we're in person and we're in communication once every 2 weeks for only 60 minutes. Why? Because we're going to keep the ball moving down the field in the game that I'm coaching them in. And if we're not on that call, it's a month between calls. Or even if I need to push it to the next day, now we pushed it to the next day. Well, where are we going to push other things in the business just because something else showed up? So I want them to relate to that call as not movable, okay? And as life has it, sometimes it has to be moved, but very rarely. That is an exception with the people and teams I coach. Once that calendar's set, we keep it in place. And then if we need to relook at a design of something, we'll do that in a holistic manner, not just ad hoc week to week. Don't do that. You will undermine your coaching authority, your coaching power, your coaching effectiveness with the people you coach when you move around calendar invitations or calendar blocks of time. They need to rely on their coach, and you must be reliable for them to rely on you. So of course, this varies for teams and this varies for individuals. The point I want to leave you with is not so much once every 2 weeks for 60 minutes. You need to find the right cadence and the right occasion and the right block of time in your calendar, and then hold that over time, because you're committed to fulfilling the big result. When you fulfill the big result, you're going to create a new game, and then you can create a new cadence. I also should say, different points in time along the way, you may need to increase frequency for a while because you're dealing with something that's urgent. So you're not going to wait 2 weeks, right? You may have to talk each day. If you're coaching somebody in your organization, you may do a 15-minute call every day for 2 weeks because you want to keep something on track and you need to press more urgency into it and more commitment and more support, like that. So this is a fluid, but I would not change the every 2 week block of time, even if I increase other interim opportunities for us to be in communication. For teams, you want to be meeting every week. If you're leading a leadership team, that is my recommendation. 52 weeks in a year. I need to be in communication and coaching and receiving coaching and having the team be present to our priorities and our objectives and the big game and the actions and what needs redirection, what needs alignment, what needs conversations. We need to do that weekly, okay? And it's partly that we're going to get, remind ourselves of the big championship we're after, and also that we're getting tactical. So those meetings every week is your leadership team. So in a traditional leadership team or an executive team, you're meeting for 60 to 90 minutes once a week, and people are coming prepared and they're ready to move the business forward and to ask for coaching where they need it, and to be in communication about any areas of the business that aren't moving at the desired pace and speed that's required for the whole team to succeed. That's what you want in that kind of coaching leadership meeting. Now, in addition to that, there's other specialty calendar occasions. Like with your individual players, you may choose to do a deeper, longer session once a quarter. Likewise for your team. Often you want to have a strategy session for sure with your leadership team. You should also consider having a strategy session with the individuals you coach, which is more about around their people development. What are their goals for the next quarter? Take stock of where we've come for the last 3 months, what's next for the next 3 months as priorities, and how does all that fit into winning the championship at the end of the year, as an example. So what I want to leave you with here is not all the answers for how to schedule your team, but for you to understand the importance of your calendar, the importance of a team calendar, the importance of an individual calendar with the people you're coaching. And mostly what you're building is this kind of immovable reality that we will win the game. And to win the game, we need to stay in communication as a team or as an individual, coaching an individual. We need to watch our behavior. We need to redirect performance. We need to celebrate success. We need to, slam our fist on the table if need be and say, this is not acceptable, the results from the last week. Let's look together at what we missed. Whatever we need to be our best selves, but we need time, we need space to do that thinking, and we've got to rely on each other that we have it, so that we bring a certain order, calmness, and thoughtfulness and care to our movement as a team or in our coaching relationship. We bring a high degree of quality because anything we care about in life, we're going to make sure that we prioritize and we put in our calendar. And this team staying in alignment and moving together is an absolute priority. So let's not going to pretend that that's going to happen by meeting once a month or just when we need to, without any kind of real forethought and design to that structure. So with the people you coach, with the teams you lead, I invite you to make sure that you have adequate times in the calendar, reliable times in the calendar, where people are together and celebrating the success, dealing with the breakdowns, and not letting go of the destination together.